Hello and welcome to, I think it's our 11th time together. And today we're going to talk a little bit about mindful eating. Sometimes people say, how am I supposed to build mindfulness already into my busy life? Well, sometimes you can kind of just start by be more mindful when you do eat or when you want to eat. See, we all have to eat in order to keep our bodies moving and for us to live. And so, what better time than to maybe practice mindfulness when you're eating? So, what does that look like? Well, it can look like a variety of things. For one, you can just be more present when you are eating or when you're about to eat. Sometimes we think we're hungry when we're really not. We use food as a replacement for being bored or being stressed. Um, it's sometimes like when you're at a party, you're not even hungry, but the food is out, and you're like, wow, I remember that tastes good. And so it becomes more of just a part of a social setting. Food we use for a lot more purposes than to fuel our body and survive. So, recognizing food in the situation that you're in, I think, is just part of that piece of being mindful. So, recognizing when you are going to eat or think about eating, what is the situation and what purpose is eating going to be for you at that moment? Right now, with their busy schedules throughout the day, some people say that they're eating nonstop. It's just because the food is readily available. But others may not be eating. They kind of forget to eat. They might be really busy in the morning, and by the afternoon, they realize, oh my gosh, I haven't ate. And we have to remember that, foods do fuel our bodies. So, sometimes being more mindful on when you eat is something that you can take a look at. Not to mention what you eat. I love coffee cake, and if it's around me, I might eat the whole thing in a day. My kids laugh because I think I've done that almost once. I kept going back and forth from the kitchen to doing whatever, and I kept eating a little slice here and a little slice there, and then the next thing you know, it was gone. Now, if I was doing that with, say, a cutie, a little, tangerine orange, it wouldn't have been so bad, but coffee cake, maybe not so good. I mean, it was delicious. Don't get me wrong, but for my body and fueling it, it might not have been the most important thing that I could have ate. Also, taking a look at not over like I don't know. I guess we can be mindful but not judgmental when we eat. You know, Eating is supposed to be a pleasurable thing, and we are supposed to be eating things that we do enjoy, I would hope, and not on a regular basis eating things that we don't like. And it could be so easy to say, okay, well, I'm going to eat healthy and I'm going to eat everything that I don't like. Well, then you might find yourself doing a lot of judgment during that time because you're obviously eating things that you don't like, maybe that are extremely healthy, and you're doing it because you think you're too fat, or maybe you think you're too skinny, or maybe you think that you are just not eating healthy enough, and that you need to be on this strict regimen diet just to make yourself better. And when eating, you're actually being judgmental, and you are not looking at yourself with that kind and compassionate eye. You are actually being more negative and critical than you might on a different basis. So, being mindful about the purpose of eating is also something that you can take a look at more closely. Now, we have to remember that we can use that 10-90% rule, I guess, that I have with eating. 10% is this is a little cutie and I like them. So that's 10%. 10% cutie. The 90% is the attachment that I had on cuties. I do like the taste of orange. Orange is a great wake me up kind of citrusy flavor and smell. And it takes a little while to unpeel it. So it kind of creates a different mode or modality of like, this is kind of pleasurable, also tangible. You know, I can add a bunch of things about this in order to perceive it as something good or bad. Um, and so we do that with everything. You know, if once watermelon is in season, 10% it's a watermelon, 90%, oh my gosh, it brings me back to my childhood. It's that cool and refreshing and light taste. I could eat a whole watermelon. It doesn't fill me up. And, obviously it's low in calorie. And so this would be more healthy for me. And then all of a sudden I'm attaching all these different things onto the watermelon when really it's just a watermelon. So we really have to be careful too on what kind of attachment we have with food and specific foods. And in doing that, we can be extremely mindful. Now, when eating, that's a different mindfulness that we can tackle on. Sometimes I say, hey, think about drinking like a 6-ounce glass of water, 8-ounce glass of water right before you eat. Obviously, that probably would be actually very healthy for you because it would help with the time span of your eating pattern and filling up, because normally I think your brain, once you start eating, it takes about 20 minutes for your brain to say, okay, you've been eating 20 minutes. It's time to shut off. Like there's like this shut off kind of valve that goes on in your brain that it's kind of bizarre and weird, but if you are eating roughly in about 20 minutes, if you're eating slow enough, you're going to be full. Unfortunately, normally when I'm at the dinner table, the kids and we normally get done in like 10 minutes. And no wonder why I'm ready for dessert right away, because 10 minutes, my brain isn't saying I'm full yet. So it's important for us to kind of get to know our bodies and what is full, what is hungry, because we've already programmed ourselves in so many ways to override what our body says is full and hungry. So if you start any meal off with a glass of water, you're already starting to become present and being more mindful of when you're eating, how you're eating, what you're eating. That's always helpful. Obviously, pacing yourself is good. It's great for your digestive system, but it's also where you can actually find pleasure in what you are eating. You can actually taste something and maybe embrace it and appreciate it more than just scarfing it down, saying this is dinner and I'm supposed to eat it because it's dinner time. Everybody needs to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's just what I do. So having a glass of water, slowing down your eating, taking a conscious decision when eating, thinking about maybe, am I going to have the coffee cake right now, my 13th piece, or am I going to have this cutie? Sometimes being mindful is like, well, have I had enough of fresh fruits and vegetables or positive food that will actually provide me with positive energy? If I haven't, then maybe we can put that coffee cake off to the side for a later date and eat the orange instead. So maybe sometimes making more mindful choices is something that you can do. Being mindful at how much you eat. Making popcorn to go watch a movie with, instead of taking the entire bowl or the entire, bag that maybe you popped in the microwave. Instead of bringing that and putting that right in front of you, instead you decide to take a smaller bowl and say, okay, I think this would be a really good sized bowl, because what you might find out is that while you're watching this movie and eating the popcorn, that you actually have that popcorn in the small bowl. You're like, hey, that hit the spot. I don't think I want any more. Maybe I do want some, but I'll just take a little. And you can have an easier time understanding what you're eating. Because if you are going to take that whole bowl or that big bowl, or you're going to take a whole bag of Doritos or whatever, and you're going to sit in front of the TV and you're going to eat, there's a good chance you're going to totally overeat what is in front of you, because it's not because you're hungry, but it's because you're not really paying attention to your body saying, yes, I'm hungry, yes, I'm full. or, okay, I ate this and maybe I've had enough. Instead, your attention is more on maybe what you're watching on TV or the people you're around. And then the next thing you know, you ate the whole bag accidentally. Okay, I have been guilty of that at times. I will agree that that could be a problem. And then I say, why did I eat the whole thing? I don't even think I was hungry, and now I'm totally gonna have a stomach ache, or maybe I already do. Uh, those are things that can happen if you're not being mindful in eating. So being mindful in eating is really something that is important. And when we talked about the pause, and on the 12th group that we have, I'll talk more about the pause, but in the past ones, we've talked about that stimulus and response, like here is an orange. How am I going to respond to it? There is that pause. There is that space in the middle for us to decide, do I want to eat it? Do I need to eat it? Is it something good for me to eat right now? You can make a more conscientious decision. Most of the time, even in food, sometimes you see the food and you're like, I see this food, I must eat it because it's amazing. But you're really not hungry. It's your brain saying, oh my gosh, I love coffee cake. I totally want to eat it. But it doesn't mean that you're hungry, nor do you need to eat the whole thing. But gosh, it tastes so good. And that feel-good response is something we always want. So, right, why not? Why not have it on a regular basis? It makes sense. But it's not healthy. So making sure that we are using that pause in between food sometimes is actually exactly what we need. That is exactly what is important to us, is that pause, so that we can decide, am I hungry? Am I not? Is it something good that I should eat? Is it not? Am I just trying to help myself get over boredom? Really using that pause between the stimulus or what you see in food and actually eating it. What's going on? And can I make a more conscientious decision? So today I'm going to just kind of go over a brief meditation / actually food awareness that I do with students. And instead of doing it a raisin, I do it with an orange or a cutie or something. So if you have something like this, go ahead and get it out. And if you don't, go ahead and get another piece of fruit or something that you could possibly use. And that once you have it, your job is to use your 5 senses. So go ahead and take a large, deep breath. And this meditation, you're going to kind of keep with your eyes open. And exhale. Take another large inhale. Exhale. So right now, what I'd like you to do is I'd like to have you take a look at the food that you have. I'm looking at the food and I'm looking at the color. Now this one is orange and it's as bright as a pumpkin. And I think it's just a happy color. It has smooth texture and it has pores that are in there. So it's like little dots all throughout. There's lots of them. I've never really recognized that. So it's interesting. It's soft, squishy in some ways. Smell, there's not really a strong smell, and I'm not going to taste it yet because I know that's like the end of this assignment that we're doing right now. So next, your job is to, if you have like an orange or a cutie or a tangerine, go ahead and start peeling it. Now I hear that peeling it back, and I actually like that sound. It's like a interesting, not crunchy, I don't know what it is, but I do like that. And obviously it's all the strands that are being pulled back from the center of that orange. And I recognize now that I can smell the citrus scent. I can feel the inside, which is a little bit of moisture. I can see that there's those strands on the orange. There's not too many, so it shouldn't be too bad for me. Sometimes I don't like oranges that have that really thick, covering, that I don't even know what it's called, from the orange peel to the orange. Kind of takes away from the pleasure of the orange. And it has the nice center. So now I'm going to peel it. And I can feel, oh, and I just felt the drip of some juice fall down onto my hand. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to peel one piece. And now I'm going to peel back this layer. And while doing it, I can see some of those juice packets, because I can see really closely those packets, those envelopes that have juice in there. And this is getting a little messy, but that's okay. And now I'm going to pull back that skin from that slice. And this is what makes it messy, but a little bit more entertaining for kids when I'm doing it. Because it really allows, once you take that skin off, it allows you to see it even more clearly inside. And you can see all of those packets of the orange juice that's in there. And then I peel it back, and I literally could probably peel up single-handedly some of those packets, and they might even burst on me, but here we go. I just took out a pocket. And if I can get a pocket like this, then I tell the kids, okay, this is all I want you to taste. And it like explodes in the mouth. The smell is delicious. The inside is a little bit more temperature-wise cooler because of probably the liquid, I'm not sure, than the outside was. And it's very smooth. Again, the coloring is beautiful. I just love this happy orange color. It makes me happy. And now I tell the kids, now that once you have this opportunity, now it's time to take a small bite. And when you take a small bite, all those pockets like pop at once. And so there's just a larger amount of orange flavoring that comes into your mouth. But maybe I'm going to stick this on my tongue. Taste it that way before I pop it on the roof of my mouth. And then it goes pop. I actually find the popping of the little pockets pleasurable. And so now I'm eating this orange with intention to understanding and appreciating everything it is about it. And then the taste is something that I think, at least kids used to say, is like, oh my gosh, I totally appreciate this taste more. I mean, I don't think they literally said that. I think they said, oh my gosh, this is the best orange I've ever had. And I said, well, maybe I did select a good batch of oranges, because if you get a bad batch, they're disgusting. But when you get a good one, like this one, when you do eat it, after making yourself so aware, I have a pocket, you then appreciate what you're eating more than if you didn't take the time to really take a look at it with your five senses. So I'm not saying you're going to do this to everything you eat. If you do, it will take forever for you to eat. But if you can do this, maybe with your first morning coffee, or if you are like, oh my gosh, this looks like a phenomenal steak. Before you take those first bites of it, really break it up and break it apart and see what it is that you find so appealing to that food item, and enjoy it, appreciate it, and kind of like just embrace it as much as you can. So today we didn't really do a mindfulness where we sit back and relax, but what I'd like you to do is take a large deep breath, exhale, and maybe if you are eating your orange, you take a section, you take a large deep breath, and then appreciate what you put in your mouth. All right, everyone, have a good one. Take care.